Alright. I'd like to talk a little bit of what my experience is like at Timewell. And, well, basically, so for when I got the job, I got on Indeed. I saw they had like an application for they're hiring urgently or something like that. I read some of the details and, it sounded good. The pay sounded good and the hours and stuff like that. And so I applied and they hire on through a temp agency, and the temp agency replied to me in like 30 minutes. They asked if I wanted the job. They wanted me to fill out forms for taxes online, and then they wanted me to come to do a drug test. And I went there and did a drug test, like a mouth swab. It was like a thing I had to put in my mouth for like 5 minutes. And I had to I had to give my forms of ID and stuff, and so basically they got me signed up to where I'd come into the next night and work, and so I work midnight to 8 a.m. in the morning, and we can have like a 15-minute break, and we get like a 30-minute break, and I think they're not paid for, but let's see. So my first experience coming into the building, it's like a 30-minute drive for me, so I drive at night. The drive is really nice because the road's empty, and I drive through like a tiny town that's like basically nothing, and then through a little bit bigger town, and then it's like on the outside of that, and it's just like a little warehouse building. So I went there in the parking lot. There's not a whole lot of people that work there. So that's kind of the one thing, that's a thing I kind of like about it. I've worked at jobs, where they employ like hundreds of people and stuff. And, it's not that, I can do that too, but I do enjoy kind of a smaller group. So I was sitting in the parking lot. I showed up, early, and I was like, I don't know where to go in at the building. So I saw a door, and I saw some people working, like in the window, and above the door, it had a sign that said like main office and something else, and they had like arrows pointing to the side. So I was like, do I go to that door, or am I supposed to like walk to where the arrows are pointing? So I walked around the side of the building to see if there was some other doors to where the arrows were pointing, and there was. And so it said like I can't remember. Anyway, I went into there, and there's vending machines when you walk in. There's a few vending machines. One for like sandwiches and stuff like that can be microwaved, and then they've got one with snacks, chips, and candy bars, and stuff like that. And then they have a pop machine. And then to the right, there's a little break room with a table, like a long table with chairs around it, and there was guys sitting in there. And so, I don't know how many guys there were in there, 6, 7 guys, something like that. And I'm wondering, like, are these people from the previous shift? Are these people from my shift? Are these all, like, new hires? I don't know. So, come to find out, they are people that are on my shift. They come in early, too, and they sit in the break room. And so, everybody just kind of waits in there, usually, and the supervisor comes in and, kind of sees who all's working and tells people where they're going or whatever for the night. So it was all guys, and everybody seemed cool. They're joking at each other, and so there's kind of like a family, brotherly camaraderie there, where it seems like everybody that I work with is pretty cool and laid back, and of course, we are the overnight shift, so it's kind of what it's usually like, you know. But I met my supervisor, and the first night I had to watch like a couple hours of training videos. There was like a handful of DVDs he put in. I had to sign some papers like acknowledging the rules of the plant and some safety stuff and some stuff on forklift. I was quizzed on these tapes that I watched, but you know, the tapes, a lot of them they were safety. They were like lifting things the proper way. Otherwise, you know, you could injure your back or your body. And they were. I watched a video on fire extinguishers, how to put out fires or what to do in case of a fire, and I learned that we use like an ABC fire extinguisher. There's different extinguishers. There's like I think basically like there's ones that are kind of like water, and then there's ones that are kind of like chemical, and then there's a different kind of fire extinguisher for like a grease fire too that uses potassium or something. I don't know. Uses something different, but we don't have those. But I watched like forklift safety videos. Eventually they're going to train me on how to use a forklift. And let's see. And some of the videos that I watched were kind of gruesome, like the injury ones. Like, I remember watching at this pork production place that I worked. I thought I watched like one of the most gruesome safety videos there, because it would show people like putting their hands into saws and stuff like that. It'd be like, you know, make sure you don't do this. So it would be bloody. And it's kind of like what this one was like. Like, people were slipping on the floor, wet floors and stuff, not paying attention and snapping their arms and stuff. Yeah, that stuff happens though. But they don't have a lot of injuries here, they said, and they actually have like an injury counter, and it counts all the days that we've went without like a reported injury or whatever, and we're almost at a full year. I know it's over 300 days, like 340 some odd days. I don't know if we get anything for being, you know, being safe for a year. I don't know, but I'm trying to think of the other videos that I watched. You know, just some about stretching, and I thought the fire extinguisher one was pretty cool because I learned stuff in all the videos. I don't know. Anyway, after I did like 2 hours of videos, I filled these forms out. I've asked him some different questions. There's a whiteboard with things on there. I asked him about overtime and stuff, and he said they haven't had mandatory overtime for a while. They just got done doing some overtime, though, but now they're not really. And usually it's like voluntary, and usually people want to do it, so, you know, there's already people signed up. And he said that I asked him about fires because we watched the fire video, you know, and I asked if there are ever fires there, and he said no, not really, but they do have like fire watch on the weekend because there's so much electricity and stuff out there. They have people come out and basically watch to make sure that there's no fires, and they get paid for it. And there's names like written up on the board, like who's coming in when on the weekends. And they do like some other small tasks, like while they're there, clean up and stuff, you know, prepare some things. He said there was a fire one time a while back that it was because of lightning, like lightning struck something outside. He said it ruined a bunch of products and stuff, started a fire. But besides that, they haven't really had any problems. And my manager, my supervisor's been there for like 5 years. He said he came there as like to start as a temporary job, and he ended up staying that long. And he is really cool. He's a really cool guy, laid back. He seems, like a great supervisor to have. So he's not like a hard ass. Like, he said like everybody get along with pretty easily. Like unless somebody's having a bad day or something. Like generally, it seems like people there are going to be willing to help you out. If you have questions or whatever. So there's like 5 different lines at my work, and basically what they do is make pipe, make plastic pipe there, drain pipe. It's for drain pipes, and lots of different places order them. Like there's like a TV screen that has different slideshows showing stuff like who bought orders and stuff, and there's like a high school that bought orders, and there's like farmer that bought orders, and so there's different uses for this stuff, I guess. I don't know. Or different places want it. They said they've expanded into different states and stuff, but it started here. Like I said, there's not a lot of people there. Probably not more than like 15 or 20 people on the entire shift. But there's like 5 different lines, and there's like 2 different sections there. There's like a single wall pipes, and then there's dual wall pipes, and there's like 3 lines on the single wall, and there's 2 on the dual pipes. And so they can make pipes like small, like they can make them 6 inches. I don't know if they make them smaller, but they can make them up to like 48 inches. And so the dual wall pipes like the larger side. And I think I've never done the single wall because they put me on dual wall. The single wall, some people like single wall better, some people like dual wall better. I think that the single wall is more steady work, where the dual wall is like slower because it's bigger pipe and stuff. And the single wall, I think, the machines always push out pipe. It's just constantly making the pipe, and I think that they take their pipe and they wrap it up in this coil, and it's kind of like a giant garden hose, to where they just wrap up the pipe and wrap it up into these huge coils. And I asked them like how many those they make a night or something. They said, it depends, but they can make like 7 of them a night or something. So it must take a while to wrap those up. But I don't know what that's really like yet. He just took me on a tour and showed me the plant, which was kind of bigger than I thought, but it's still small. Like, I don't know what I was thinking really, what it was going to be like. So they put me on dual wall, and they've got machines 4 and 5. And 5 does like the biggest ones, and that's what they put me on. And so we have operators out there, the guys who like run the machines. They're kind of like the bosses or the supervisors there too. So I met my operator, and he kind of trained me on what I was doing. And they were making cores, and basically like the junk material or whatever extra material they had, they were making pipes for themselves, for the company. And we were cutting it into sections and cutting holes out of it, because they wanted it to be to where if somebody that bought an order got these pipes on accident, they would have the holes in them, and the idea is that they would send them back. But I guess they don't send them back a lot, so it doesn't make sense. But that's what we do. So usually the machine's supposed to cut the pipes, but the machines don't always work like they're supposed to, and they have issues. So the machine's supposed to cut the pipe into sections. It comes out so far, and then like it basically like puts a blade into it, and it like turns it around in a circular motion, like cuts the pipe. It wasn't doing that, so I had to use a Sawzall and cut the pipe after so long. Like we measured there's like ridges on the pipe, and so we'd measure, after the 29th ridge, or there was like a hook with a string, and I could just like pull the string out, and it would always be like the right measurement. And then I'd use like a paint marker, and I don't know, it was a pretty big pipe that I was doing. I don't know if it was the 48-inch. It might not have been that big, but it was big. Could have been, I don't know. But I'd measure out the length, and I'd mark it with a paint marker. And when the paint marker came, that would be where I would use the Sawzall and cut the pipe. I have to cut it from one side to the top to the bottom, and then I'd have to go on the other side of the pipe and cut it from the top to the bottom. And they would, like I said, they'd want us to cut holes in them. So basically, we'd measure it out, and as it slowly came out of the machine, I'd take the Sawzall and cut like a hole in the side of it. And then, like, once the marker came up, I'd cut the whole pipe off, and then I'd measure it out again, and then it would just be a constant thing. So it was using the Sawzall, and when you're cutting, it kind of goes by fast because it's moving out really slowly. But once you start cutting, you realize like how time seems to like change, and it's like, okay, I got to hurry up and cut this off. And so I liked that job. It was just the same task over and over and over again, and it was physical, using the Sawzall and stuff, and I had to climb up on a ladder to cut it, because it was kind of like down in a pit, and my operator's a tall guy, so he could easily kind of reach and cut the pipe, but I'm not that tall, so I couldn't. I had to climb up, and so that made it extra work, climbing up the ladder every time. But so the forklift they have a forklift there that has these prongs on it, and it has like 3 long prongs, and see, they can make pipe up to like 48 inches around and like 20 feet long, I think. But that's not how long this pipe was. I don't know how long it was. It was at least 6 foot. I don't know. I'm sure longer than that. But anyway, maybe it was 10 foot. I don't know. They have these prongs on the forklift, 3 of them, and basically we'd slide the pipes that I cut on there, and you could have like 6 of them on there all together, like 2 on each prong thing. So once they filled up, they would take them out into the yard where all the material is and stuff, all the product, whatever. All the holes that I cut out of the pipe, like that extra material, we'd throw in this bin thing, and then once that got full, we'd take it to the grinder. There's like a thing where you step up, and there's like a big like hole in the wall, like a window or whatever, and you dump the pieces in there after you turn on the grinder, and it grinds it up, and they reuse that material. So it's pretty cool. When my supervisor gave me the tour, he showed me like the mixing room where they mix like all the material to make the plastic, and he showed me like all the pipes and the ceilings where all the stuff travels to the machines and everything. And he said the company's really particular about like getting like the perfect mixture or whatever to have like 0 imperfections in the plastic or whatever. I don't know, but that's pretty cool. And there's a lot that I'm not mentioning. I'm just trying to mention, I guess, the most important stuff. I don't know. But anyways, this was like the same job, just cutting these pipes with the Sawzall. And, the first day I had those 2 hours of videos and stuff. And so it went by pretty fast in the morning. Around 7 o'clock, the sunlight comes out. And that was pretty cool, which I thought I was going to hate that because at Casey's I worked 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. and when I got off it was still dark. But here it's 10 to 8 a.m. or midnight to 8 a.m. and so when I get off it's light. But I thought it was pretty cool. Around 7, they opened the big door to take the material out, and I saw, like, everything was bright and blue. And it was kind of like a refreshing feeling. And maybe it's because of the idea that I know I'm getting off work soon, too. So I was like, I didn't really know what time it was, but I was like, man, it's getting daylight now. But also, just, I don't know, it's just refreshing, like a new day started, and so I enjoy that. And yeah, my night went by pretty quick. My operator said he's been there only for a couple of years, I think. I think he said that he came there for like 1 year and got fired, and I don't know why he got fired, and then he said he came back. There's a lot of people that said they've left and came back. There's one guy, an older guy, who's been there for 12 years. And I think he said that this plant has existed for like over 20 years, 24 years or something. I don't know. Quite a while. But he's the guy who's been there the longest that I've spoken with. Another guy I talked to has been there for like 3 years, but he said that he quit every year. He said he worked first for like a year, worked second for like a year, and now he's like on third for a year, something like that. He said he just left because he didn't like the drama there or something, but I haven't really experienced, I haven't experienced anything like that, but, and he said he does like third the best because it's the most laid back and everything. But anyway, yeah, I was pretty much kind of working by myself on the course. Second night I came back and I did the course from start to finish. And I enjoyed that. That's fine with me. Okay, after work, my back and my body is sore. But, it's kind of different. I should talk about Casey's more sometime too, but kind of comparing Casey's to this job. It was getting to the point of Casey's at the end of the shift, sometimes like we were completely dead with like no customers and everything was clean and caught up. And, I just got to the point to where I started sitting in the office because, that's what some other people did. I didn't sit for a long time, but there towards the end of my time, it was just getting to the point to where, a lot of people were getting lazy and not showing up and everything else, and I was like, I'm going to be lazy too. And so it gets to the point to where we'd be so dead, though. It's like I would just sit in the office and I would like want to go to sleep, and it was like torture. It was like mental torture. I'd be like dying to get off my shift. And so I don't feel that way here, like I'm awake, and they have coffee that we can drink and water and stuff like that. And I could do that at Casey's too, but I mean, it's nice that we have it here. But, because I'm more active, I think I'm more awake, and I don't feel like that mental torture to get off of work, but it is physical though, so my body is like tired, So then like the third day we switched it up and I was on machine 4 because we ran out of core material, so they were done with the core stuff and the machine 5 was down. And so they have a lot of different orders, like they change the machines up according to what people order. And one of the things that my supervisor and everybody told me really sucks, like one of the worst jobs or whatever, is that we have to drill holes in some of the pipes. Some of the orders want holes. I think they say they call it perf. I don't know. Another thing I didn't mention, I guess, is that it's loud there. We have to wear earphones. They gave me some basic safety material that I have to wear. I have to wear a vest, a yellow vest, so that way you're like seen by people with forklifts or whatever else, like people can see you. And we have to wear safety glasses. We have gloves. And he also gave me like these arm guards for using like like non-cut sleeves, basically, to where kind of like knife resistant. He gave me also an X-Acto knife because we can use those to cut the pipes. And so I think that was it as far as the safety gear and stuff that I bring with me that I wear. but we do have to wear the earplugs. So it's loud, so you kind of gotta yell when you're talking at people. But, so the second night I was on machine 4, and this was 6-inch pipe, so it was a lot smaller. But I think it was longer. And it would come out, and one side had like a bell end on it, to where you could like put the piece into it. And, so me and another guy would like lift this up. He'd be at one end and I'd be at the other end. Then we put it on this little kind of sawhorse type thing where the bell part of it like slides into this machine and kind of like cuts out the inside of it, because this is like a dual layer pipe where the cores were like a single layer thing. But this one had like a dual layer, and I'd have to cut that bell part at the end of it. It would like slide into this thing, and it was like a machine where, I just pushed a button and then it would like cut out the inside or whatever. And I'd have to put like a tape around it, like it says Timewell on it. And on the other side, they have to like smooth the end off and put a gasket on it, and then wrap that in like saran wrap. And then we take that piece and we put it on like a pallet kind of thing, basically. And we stack them up, so many, pile them up until this thing is full, and then they can take them out. Basically, it was rows of like six, and then it'd be like 5, and then 6, and then we put tape, or we put string over that and tied those down, and then it'd be another row of 5, 6, 5, whatever, on top of that, and then there's kind of like wood around the outside of it, and then we'd like screw wood over the top of it, and there's like a wood frame around all of it, so they can take it with the forklift. So, yeah. And the machine just keeps putting it out. So this was a little bit of a slower job, and it wasn't using like the Sawzall like I was with the cores. And for the first night I did that, the machine mostly ran fine. And that was not the case for the last night that I worked on Friday. Which, thank God, it was the end of the week, because that was the most work that I did the whole time, was Friday. And kind of a taste of, what things could be like there. Basically, I came back to the same job on Friday, the 6-inch pipe or whatever, and with the bell end on it. Well, the machine kept messing up. Like, there's holes in this too. Like I said, like you have to drill holes sometimes in the bigger pieces. Well, the machine made holes in these, like little slits in between, like each ridge or whatever. Like, I think they call it perf. Like I said, I think it's like perforated is kind of what I'm thinking. Where there's holes in it, I don't know. But the machine cuts these holes in it. And, well, the machine was messing up. It was cutting at the wrong times and stuff like that. And it kept messing up the product. And so what happens is, when it cuts the pipe wrong and stuff, it messes up the product or whatever. We cut it up with the Sawzall and put it in the grinder. So we have to like we reuse the material. So, and then these were long pieces, like 10 foot or more, 13 foot, I don't know. And the machine even got kinked at one time, and like we wasted like so much. Like, I had to Sawzall and grind material for like 4 hours on Friday. And they told me it gets a lot worse than that. They said sometimes like the whole back area is full of grind. It's like nothing but pipe that needs to be ground up, because it's all wasted material. Like, it's all ruined. it sucks because like the machine just keeps making it. The machine just keeps making it. If it's making it wrong, then we were just like I said, the pipe was long, like 10 or 13 foot or whatever, or longer, and it would be messed up. So we just pull it out of the machine, and it'd be like, "Yep, it's another one." Like you have to take it over to the grinder across the room. And another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. So these are big, long pieces, and I have to cut them into sections of at least like 5 or 6 foot or so to fit them in the grinder. So like I was having to cut each one of these like a few times with the Sawzall. And I'd cut it on the ground basically, so I'd put my foot on it and start cutting it, and then like rotate it with my foot and cut all the way around the pipe. And so it kind of hurt my back, like bending over the whole time cutting it. I was definitely getting my workout on Friday. And it's stressful because you just want things to run the way they should. It makes the job a lot easier. But it is what it is, so I made it through that. But it was fun, so I'm looking forward to Monday. I don't know, I'm exhausted talking about this now, so overall I really like my job. There's a lot of different things that I could experience that I haven't yet. And so it's cool that it's new and fresh, and hopefully Monday things are going smoothly. And we'll see what other things I'll do there. Alright, God bless.